we know, as if we didn't know it before, that every time now there's a tragedy in America, the media and the Democrats will say it's the fault of Doge. What do you think the White House, or what do you know the White House is doing about that? Are they just going to fight them all out tactically, case by case, or
So
are they going to actually analyze whether any of the cuts they've made might make things more dangerous?
I think there's going to be a short-term response, and you saw that there's a little bit of caution in both Kristi Noem's comments and Donald Trump's about how to address FEMA in particular, and just saying, we'll have to review some of this stuff. Again, I thought it was rather what Chuck Schumer did was pretty like just it was over the top. The idea that somehow when you're writing a letter to the IG at the Commerce Department, who you know isn't going to get back to you, and you push it out, it was completely a stunt to garner attention in the midst of a massive tragedy. He knows the answer to the question, and he did it for
But that's
personal
I'm
political
totally
gain.
I'm not
And
agreed.
so
I'm saying going forward, do you think the
I
White
think
House?
the short term answer is they're going to say, look, here's the analysis. I mean, and you've
No,
seen it.
not on this case. If there's a plane crash, they're going to say the cuts to the FAA.
Oh, right, but
If there's a measles outbreak, they're going to say cuts at HHS. Is the White House, do you think, rather than just having people gear up on Twitter to own the libs, or do you think that they're taking stock of serious analysis to say we believe in smaller government, we believe government got too big, we believe in reducing the federal workforce, but we're responsible for making sure that public health and safety are still protected?
So I think it's going to be on a case by case basis. So if you look at ATC, right, they took appropriate steps. Sean Duffy, I think, has done a phenomenal job of explaining the problem that exists within air travel right now and the steps and the remedies that they're taking. So if something were to happen in that space, I think that they're pretty protected in terms of saying we identified a problem that existed for decades. We took appropriate steps. We explained that it wasn't going to happen overnight, et cetera. In the area of FEMA, I do think that they've got to be. This is where, as we get into hurricane season in the fall, they're going to have to get ahead of. Here's what we've done. Here's what we did. But Kristi Noem this morning, in some of the interviews, was saying we think this is the better model. That the state emergency management be the first. We come in, declare, with a disaster declaration, then we move some additional assets, but the state leads the way. I think in key states, in Florida, that's going to be fine because Ron DeSantis has done a phenomenal job of getting the state ready. Texas seems pretty adept at that. Certain states, though, that this is a big deal. There's a big difference between how states prepare themselves. And so if you find a state that isn't up to that level and something happens, there's going to be a massive finger pointing exercise as to who should have been the lead on that. And the state saying, well, FEMA's always had the lead. We weren't ready for this. That's their job.
Right.
And then to your point, the media is going to weigh in and say the Trump administration should have done X, Y, and
Right.
Z.
So, Dan, leaving aside this tragedy, just the general question of what we're facing for the next 3 years, which is every time there's a public health, safety, air traffic, anything, the press and the Democrats are going to say it's Trump's fault because of Doge. How should the Democrats do that? Should they do it as superficially as Schumer just firing off a letter? Should they have really great research? Should they have whistleblowers? What's the right way for them to do it substantively and politically?
Well, I wish we wouldn't blame everything on it because you become the boy who cries wolf and the public just starts to tune you out. I think Sean talked about FEMA. I think the other place that there are more and more stories about problems is the VA. Like, I think it's real. I think the DTROP and DSCC are actually going to start recruiting veterans and others to run for office to make this part of their platform in 2026. But I think you got to get your facts right first. And I know what Democrats say because I saw it over the weekend, which is that Donald Trump for years would just fire these things off. He'd make these kind of allegations and conspiracy theories. They would take off. It would ding us. It would draw blood, even though the facts didn't back it up whatsoever. And there's this like, what's good for the goose is good for us type of argument. I think it's crazy. It's one of the reasons people don't like Trump. But the party right now, the tail wags the dog. The base just demands scream.
They say that something that's easy is like a walk in the park. Well, easier than a walk in the park, hit the subscribe button, be part of the two-way community, never miss an episode, be part of our conversations. Thank you for your service to America.